For Louisiana versus all y'all, Jarrett Roser here with Daniel Luquet, new Hahnville head coach Daniel Luquet, who former Woodlawn coach. First time I think we had a chance to meet, and been back down in St. Charles Parish at Hahnville as offensive coordinator, and just this past week announced as the new head coach. Daniel, man, congratulations again. Good to see you. Appreciate your time. How's everything been going?
It's good, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's been a while since we got to talk, hang out. You know, these times are just crazy for guys like us who usually see each other 4 or 5 times by now, you know, especially through the summer and through spring ball and what that all means. But I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Always a pleasure. And you mentioned kind of some of the weird circumstances. I definitely want to spend most of our time talking about the opportunity at Hahnville and kind of what the outlook is for you guys now heading into your first year as head coach there. But just starting with some of that COVID-19 circumstances that everyone's been dealing with, how's that gone for you guys? I guess family and school-wise so far this spring, just kind of managing some of the unprecedented circumstances.
Yeah, you know, it's different. Just trying, you try to do your teacher aspect and be there for your kids when you're, you know, just like you would be in the classroom through this, and trying to make sure they're doing the work that they're supposed to. And then you're trying to be dad and, you know, a first grade teacher, a pre-K 4 teacher, and then, you know, a football coach. You take over a role when Coach Salt left. You take it upon yourself, like I did, to try to make sure that we're scheduling Zoom meetings to make sure kids are doing what they need to do in the classroom, and that they realize where they need to be academically. Because, you know, the crazy thing is that even though COVID hit and all this is going on, you know, learning's still happening, and trying to graduate and trying to stay on that path that we've been, you know, speaking about and preaching about since the beginning. You know, you still got to stay focused on that. Still got to make sure you maintain them grades. So it's been hectic, but, you know, hey, I mean, you know, you do what you can do in times like this to be successful.
Absolutely. I guess the new normal-ish that we're all kind of getting used to now, and hopefully pretty soon transitioning back to actual normalcy, and you guys will actually get a chance to start getting together more with the guys in person here. Hopefully June 8th is looking like that date that everyone now has circled. The announcement last week that you are the new head coach at Hahnville, everything confirmed last Wednesday night. Just how much excitement was that for you, the family? You're a guy that grew up in that area, was at the school these past few years. A lot of connections with faculty, staff, kids, community. How's it feel to be head coach?
It's amazing. It really is. It's been a heck of a ride. You know, when I left Woodlawn a year ago, and went from driving, you know, an hour and 25 minutes to work to 6 minutes, I would have never thought that this quickly I would be sitting here talking to you about taking over this job. But, you know, to me, it's one of the top 3 jobs in the state and one of the top in the country. You know, there's the support you get from our administration, from our faculty, from the school board, and from this community is like none other. You know, just experiencing football season and experiencing just the love and just pure excitement for Hahnville football and for Hahnville High School. I'm just so happy to be a part of it. I've lived in this community for the last 12 years, and, you know, obviously grew up in this parish for my entire life. You know, as a Destrehan guy, but, you know, a guy who respects what Hahnville has always been about. And now to be in charge and to take over a program like this, and, you know, the expectations have always been high, and it will continue to be high. But it's just, man, it's been amazing, and everything that I could have ever wanted, you know, since I've been here.
I was going to ask you about the dynamic. Obviously, you've been over there in purple and gold the last couple of years, but you're a Destrehan guy from your school days, and then were there on Coach Robichaux's staff a few years ago before coming up to Baton Rouge for a couple of years. If you tell young Destrehan Daniel, all right, you're in a few years going to be the lead guy at Hahnville, how simultaneously exciting but kind of conflicting is that for high school Daniel at that point?
Well, you know, with the amount of battles that I had in the 4 years that I was at Destrehan with them, you would say, I would tell myself, well, we're going to be a damn good football team, and I'm going to have a bunch of really good players. But I would have never thought that, but I'll be honest with you, Jared, I would have never thought if you'd have told me 5 years ago I was going to go to coach at Woodlawn and Baton Rouge, I'd tell you were crazy there too. Look, Lord's got the Lord had a plan for me a long time ago, and I'm just, looking and taking every step that he gives in front of me and he lays in front of me, and this happens to be the next one, and it's gonna be the last one. This is definitely a place where you settle down and you go and you try to win a bunch of football games and make football players into better men and be there for the community and just try to change things in every opportunity that you can. So yeah, it's that 17-year-old would have been like, you crazy if you would have said that out. But I tell you what, I can't be any more excited about the opportunity. And on week 10 when we play Destrehan, there'll be nobody that wants to beat them suckers more than me. But at the end of the day, man, it's one community, two great high schools, a support system that supports both high schools. And as a football player, you don't always see those type of things. But as a coach, there's a lot of resources that this parish gives that a lot of other parishes don't. And to be the head football coach at Hahnville, and then my buddy Marcus, who's the head football coach at Destrehan, we're pretty lucky to say that we get to work in a parish like this at two amazing schools like we do.
I guess kind of building upon that, you obviously have been around this rivalry for your entire life, and you're tapped in enough with football around the state. I mean, you were in a district where you guys, you saw EA and Santa and some other big-time rivalries that, whether it was district rivals for you that were big rivals or just whoever you happen to know through the coaching network. What can you say about just football in St. Charles Parish, and any time that Destrehan and Hahnville get a chance to get together, kind of your perspective on what that week is like, the meaning of that game, the atmosphere, and all of those things? Because I know everyone always likes to talk about the different rivalries around the state, and this one is as good as any, really.
Well, when I was growing up, the rivalry was, and obviously it's been going on for a long time. My father-in-law played here in '72, and it was a big rivalry. But when I was growing up, there was three different baseball teams, and one was a team from Destrehan, one was a team from Mimosa, which is mostly the Hahnville guys, and then it was everybody else in the parish. So you grow up playing football and baseball with each other, and then you go your separate ways and you go to your separate middle schools that feed into the high school, and then you see each other when it comes to high school. Well, you've been friends before, but now you know each other, so you know each other's families, you know each other's brothers and sisters, uncles, where you live, and I'm sure EA and Santa Maria is a great rivalry, and I'm sure that they have people that work together that are from EA and from Santa Maria, but this is the only two high schools. We have a bunch in the River Parish, but it's there. It's it. We're talking two 1,500 student schools, multiple elementaries, multiple middle schools, a bunch of plants in the area, a lot of people working here. Like, it shuts down when we get together. You got America's Great Rivalry series or whatever comes out to this game, and has been doing it since I started coaching in 2009, 2010. And it's recognized as one of the greater rivalries in the country. And I tell you what, you're right. In Baton Rouge, there was some good rivalries, and there's a lot of teams but when you're talking about the two quality football teams and football programs that compete for state championships every year, playing each other, every year, that's what makes it a rivalry. I look at some of these guys who load up their schedule, and you have to go find those guys. I don't have to go find Destrehan. They're already on the schedule. And they always will be. And I tell you what, you've been a part of it. You've seen it. It's like none other.
No doubt. We mentioned a little bit of your first head coaching role at Woodlawn. What did you take from that experience as a first-time head coach that you now, taking the reins of a program for the second time, have kind of picked up along the way since then, or know that you kind of approach differently? Because there's a lot that comes with being the head coach outside of just the football aspect that people outside of it don't necessarily always realize, and that ends up being a lot of times the biggest learning curve, I guess.
Yeah.
What did you take from that experience now heading into this one?
Coaching football is coaching football, and dealing with kids. Kids are, they may come from different backgrounds and different walks of life, but kids are kids, and relationships and building those is something that I feel like I'm really good at. But one of the things that I learned a lot about when I left Woodlawn or went to Woodlawn was how involved that I felt like I needed to be in the building, not just as a football coach from 2:30 to 5:30 on Friday nights or on Wednesday nights, but what it meant to be the guy who was walking the halls in the front of the school when the kids walked in, at lunch, and just checking on them, just, talking to them. Hey, how was dinner last night? Hey, man, how was the movies with your girlfriend last night? Or, man, I know you had an algebra 2 test today. How was studying last night? Do you feel like you did okay? That's the relationship part and I'm not just talking about football players. I'm talking about students in general, and just being somebody that those kids can come to and that those kids can trust. Because, a lot of people will agree. You got your superintendent, you got your 2 principals of your high schools, and then you got your football coach. And a lot of people think that they're just as influential as those guys. And if you're going to be that guy, then you need to be that guy in every aspect and every role. Discipline, and attendance, and just being there as a support system to your administration, just as much as there's a support system to you. And just trusting the people that work around you, and surround yourself with positive people, and that goes into your coaching staff as well.
So now what's the outlook for you guys? As you get a chance to get started in some capacity here pretty soon, it's obviously a program that's had a ton of success through the years. It was just in the Dome again a couple years ago, and consistent playoff contender. You take over now. What's kind of the expectation heading into 2020 with some key pieces gone, certainly, but some key pieces back?
Well, the expectation here is always to make a deep run in the playoffs and to win a state championship. This place has won 6, hasn't won one since 2003, and has really been hungry for one. It starts in the classroom, it starts on the practice field, it starts being disciplined. But tough loss last year to Zachary kind of has a bitter taste in our mouth. Our goal always is to try to be one of the top 8 seeds, so that way you can pretty much dictate that you're going to be at home most of the time and really try to get in the top 4. But we got 8 guys coming back on offense. I think we can be really, really explosive. Quarterback comes back, got 4 offensive linemen coming back, 3 receivers coming back, and a running back who probably got about 35% of the carries last year. So I really expect to not miss a beat offensively. Defensively, Coach Melvin, our defense coordinator, is going to actually take over play calling. Coach Salt did a lot of that last year, so he'll be putting his stamp on it. And we lose a lot of quality football players from last year. A lot of guys that can play college football. We bring back 2 or 3 starters, but we're young, we're fast, we're physical. So we're just going to let them play. We're going to try to keep it simple on defense and just let them suckers get after it and run around and create havoc. And our non-district schedule with Denham and Mandeville and Higgins and Jesuit's pretty tough. And then we're in a pretty tough district with some really good coaches and guys that know how to handle Friday nights and sneak games in there and try to win some. So, always it's to win a district championship, win a state championship, but you can't do that unless you're playing on Thanksgiving, and that's always been the goal here. And donuts for breakfast on Thanksgiving morning are always been something that's pretty special.
Excellent. And I'm sure in whatever capacity you guys can get back to it here pretty soon, everyone's just excited to get back to it one way or another.
Absolutely.
Daniel, congratulations again, man. Thanks for your time. Pleasure as always.
I appreciate you having me, man. I hope we can see each other face to face pretty soon, man.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
All right. Hi, Jared.
He's Daniel Luquet. I'm Jarrett Roser. Thanks.